Separation anxiety is a topic that always crops up when we talk about young children and moms having to leave their children, whether it is because they go back to work or whether the child goes to school. And it's a very difficult topic. It's one that usually elicits a lot of emotion, but important to remember that it's a very normal stage of development. And even though it comes along with a lot of sort of emotion and not feeling great about it, separation anxiety is actually a brilliant thing because it's an indication that your child has formed a secure attachment to you. It means that they feel happy with you, they're safe with you, and they're upset when they're not with you. But being separated from you for short periods actually further plays into that attachment and enhances it a bit, because your child will start to experience and realize that whenever you leave them somewhere, they're always in a safe place and you always return to come and fetch them. So in turn, they develop a certain confidence from this knowledge, and that will encourage them to just explore their environment freely, to take on the big wide world head on, and to know that they've always got the secure base that they can come back to. Separation anxiety generally peaks between the ages of about 9 months and 18 months, but keep in mind that it might just spontaneously crop up at any stage during the toddler or the preschool phase. It can be really shocking and heartbreaking for parents to see their children being so distraught. So let's look at some of the ways that you can try and deal with separation anxiety. The first, for moms who are going back to work, is that it is absolutely super important to make sure you leave your child with the right person. So take your time in making this decision and don't let anyone put pressure on you in this regard. So what if you interview 20 nannies before you decide on the right one? You have to be comfortable with the decision that you make. Also try and prepare your child. So with older children, it's easier to try and tell them what to expect. So explain to them where you're going, who you will leave them with, and when they can expect you to be back. So you can say things like, Mommy's going to drop you off with Granny, then I'm going to go to my meeting at work, and then I'll come pick you up again at lunchtime. Children don't need a specific time. You don't need to say 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock because they don't understand time, but give them something that relates to them. Lunchtime, after your favorite program, something like that. Make sure that your child is familiar with the creche or the daycare center that they're going to, especially if it's a new environment. If they're not staying in a familiar place with a family member, you want to perhaps try and introduce it to the school and to the teacher beforehand. If the school is open and you have free access, try and take your child there regularly. But even if that's not an option, try and just drive past the school or the creche center as often as you can so that you can point out where it is that you're going to leave your child. And if you can, try and point out important things like where the bathroom is so that she knows where to go when she needs it, or who it is that she can ask for help. Make it quick in the morning when you drop them off. It's very difficult, but when we prolong that separation anxiety with long goodbyes or, sort of hugging and staying around, that kind of gives your child an indication that maybe you're so upset because maybe they're not in a safe place. Maybe you're worried about them. And so they misinterpret your resistance to leave them as a sign that they're actually in an unsafe environment. So gather all your strength, try and be as cheery as you can, give them a quick hug, give them a kiss, tell them that they're going to be absolutely fine and well looked after, and then try and leave. And don't ever leave without saying goodbye. I know quite often it's quite tempting to try and slip out while they're in a good space or playing with someone, but it's guaranteed to result in tears later on. So always make sure that you say goodbye to your child before you leave. It often helps to provide a comfort object. So small children might find a lot of comfort in keeping a special object from home, something like a soft toy, maybe a piece of clothing that smells like mom, and that will just keep them comforted while they wait for you to return. And you could also try a laminated photograph maybe of the family, something that they can look at whenever they miss you. Make sure that you have everything you need before you go for the first day. The first day is usually the most emotional, the most difficult. So bargain on the fact that you will probably be a little upset, but child will be a little bit upset. So before, the night before, try and have outfits ready. Make sure you've got all the supplies, the bottles, the nappies, everything set up before, because when you're well prepared, that's just going to prevent those last minute jitters a bit.